So, this is another quick series. I've been trying to do something like this for a while, but taking advantage of the fact that we are locked down and we cannot go outside. A large amount of people I know are resorting to drinking, which, is no bad thing, but I thought I'd do a quick series, which I've been wanting to do for a while, but it's even more relevant now, on wines we drink every day. I've got a group of friends who drink all levels of wine, but what I am called upon, or is my duty, is trying to, because this is essential work, is recommending wines that are a good price for good drinking, and recommending really whether wines are a stonker or they're plonk. And I have the mother of a friend who relies on this important information, and therefore, I thought I would share it with more of you. I am loving the way certain companies and businesses, especially here in London, are adapting. My favourite is two businesses, I think. One of them is a company called First Produce, who used to produce food and deliver just for the supermarkets and is, just for the restaurants, and is now doing that for people like myself, so I don't have to go to the supermarket, and it is fantastic. But another one that struck my eye was via a friend who introduced me to Steatham Wines, who obviously is a wine bar. It did sell wine and cheese and other things, but it's closed for a while. And so what they've been doing is teaming up with some of their providers to do virtual tastings. And they're not the only people to be doing this. There are quite a few. And I need to get the camera angle for future ones a little bit better. But there are so many videos out there that take so long to edit, so long to put together, and we are in a lockdown, and this is vital, essential information. So yeah, I thought I would get a few of the first ones I'm going to be doing is the Ochoa ones from the tasting. Got another few tastings to come, so I'll be sharing those. But the other wines I was going to do is just more the wines that you can get hold of and probably are drinking, and hopefully introduce you to some of the other ones that are not, because as we know, Spain and Italy has been in quite an extended lockdown. They're hopefully coming out of it, but they need you to buy their wines. So let's get on with it. If you do want to do these things, Steatham Winehouse is one of them, but there are many people who organise these things. And the last tasting I had was on a Monday night. And of course, everybody likes having 3 bottles of wine open on a Monday night. Hello. We are in a lockdown, as you can see, with my extended lockdown hair. But we did them in this order. So I've already had these wines, and this particular tasting was on a Monday evening. So I had 2 Monday evening tastings in a row, and I have to confess that I did for a moment think that I may have caught the coronavirus, because I lost my sense of taste, or found my sense of taste being impaired. But I then did a Google search and found that is one of the things that happens when you drink too much. And so I do want to have this message first, that you do need to drink responsibly. Just because you're locked inside doesn't mean that you can drink everything that is in front of you. So of these 3, the first one was not that one. So of these 3, the first one was this rather fetching doble uva, which is a play on the word W in Spanish, and doble uva, I assume. But it has a very interesting twist. Now, I kind of like Spanish wine in one way, in that it's very traditional, but I also like when people play with those traditions, because you need to keep changing things, because whole grape varieties can end up diseased, droughts can happen, tastes can change, and if you don't keep moving, you can end up dying. Now, one of the first most interesting things that I remember of Spain was trying Valtraud, which is a Gewürztraminer mixed with local grapes, and it is quite special. I don't really drink a lot of white wine. I find it a bit too acidic. And one of the reasons I don't drink a lot of white wine is, as Jimmy from Steatham Wines pointed out quite rightly, is Viognier, or however you want to call it, is a wine that is, I think you put it, it's wine you only want one glass of, because it is usually very big. And a bit like, for example, a very hoppy or a very special pale ale. There are pale ales that are fantastic for one, but if you have too many, it's a bit like it's a bit like you've been in one of those kind of stores that sell, perfumed candles. It kind of lingers on you. And the same of certain grapes, and we'll get to that in the red. There's one called Graciano as well that Ochoa use quite a lot. But this one is quite special because they've mixed it with the local Spanish Biura. And I can't remember the percentages. Honestly, I think it was a 70-30. But it is fantastic because it's got... Biuras can be a bit... nondescript, very similar. It's kind of, it's the mainstay of a lot of Spanish whites. And they really don't do anything for me. Viognier, again, is a bit too much. Together, the two make a fantastic white wine for drinking. You can obviously get this from the Steatham Winehouse. And yeah, I mean, just look at that colour as well. I am slowly getting back my sense of smell and taste after reducing the alcohol intake, which you really need to do because we don't know how long this is going to carry on. This has been in the fridge for, what's it now? It's now Wednesday, so it's been in the fridge for 2 days. It hasn't really lost anything. You can tell, obviously, white wine doesn't keep in the fridge anywhere near as long as red. Most reds you can keep for a good few days or even a week in a normal bottle. I've kept bigger bottles for longer. But whites, very quickly, the vinegary acid starts overtaking the wine-based acids, and it does get quite vinegary very quickly. But this is still a fantastic wine that you could drink all day long and not just the one glass, again, responsibly. The next one, well, there are two of them actually. Now, one of the other wines that we tasted 6 in total over 2 days, was 100% Graciano, which, again, a bit like the whites, was for me just a little bit too much. It's what I would call a knife and fork wine. When I first tasted this, which is La Foto, it's supposedly the everyday drinking wine of Ochoa, I kind of had the same, but I didn't notice that I'd taken it straight from the box in the hall, and it was about 21 degrees. So I put a jacket over it and brought it down to the 16, put it into a glass, and it was fantastic. Now, just to give you an idea of why I love Navarra, and it's one of the most underrated, I think, regions in the world, and certainly of Spain, is this. I mean, just look, I don't know if you can catch this on camera, but just look at this. So this is even the cork is lovely, but this is the Reserva. It's a 2011. Obviously, I haven't tasted the other ones, 2010 or 2015, assuming they follow the years a bit like the Riojas, but I don't know if you can kind of see that. It is a lovely colour. Now, one of the themes of this is I like wines like that. I like that light should not pass through a red wine. And that is generally an indication of, and this one's a bit clearer because it is a younger wine, but it's still a very dark wine, and it's usually a sign of the fact of two things which make a huge difference when you're buying a wine around the 10, 15, 20 pounds, 10, 15, probably even if you're lucky, lower range. And that is, does the vineyard have its own grapes, and is it in control of its own grapes? There are some exceptions. Some vineyards can obviously buy grapes from places that have looked after the grapes in the way that I'll explain to you in a minute. But again, that's not a guarantee that one bottle is going to be the same as another bottle, or 1 year is going to be the same as another year. In short, what a good vineyard will be doing, who is in control of their grapes, is going around and cutting the grapes. So the ones that, if there's 4 bunches, 2 of them in the shade and 2 of them in the sun, or however they want to have them, they'll cut the other ones, and all the lusciousness and flavour and sugar, because they're in the sun, etc., will go into the grapes that are left on the vine. And that will generally, if you're using the sort of 4,000 per acre sort of rule, you will get a very good dark wine. And generally when you get a lighter wine, and it's amazing. I mean, I bought some 10 or 15 pound wines in supermarkets recently, and you just look at them like that and go, this isn't going to be great, especially from a big Spanish red. A big Spanish red should be like that, and this is absolutely amazing. But yeah, I mean, so the way it was explained by the vineyard was that this is the everyday drinking and this is a special occasion wine, and they are really like that. I mean, I'm not going to go to this one immediately, but this is quite funny. I mean, just make sure you get the right temperature, because there is 30% of Graciano in this, or Graciano, and Graciano is a big grape. It is a big grape, and it has oxidized a bit in the fridge, but it's still a fantastic wine. And then you're left with this. The glass has been in the dishwasher. We're in a lockdown, what can I say? But that is, I mean, this is pure dark fruit. It is amazing. They mix the barrels in Ochoa, so you don't get that very strong vanilla. There's no strong flavors, and again with the white, there's none of that horrendous kind of sticking cubes of oak in to give it that too much of an oakiness. These are 3 stonkers, and there is not one bottle of Plonk here, which again is probably reflected in the price, but at the end of the day, you get what you paid for. As you're younger, you end up drinking lots of cheaper wine and not so many good ones. As you get older and a bit more responsible, which of course we all are, especially in lockdown, I'd rather have one really good wine than 2 bottles of Plonk now. Obviously, 2 bottles of good wine is better, but we won't go there. Anyway, I'm going to stop this one, review it, probably get it out, and then we'll look at the next episode, because I have a lot of wine to get through. Let me know your thoughts. Am I missing some big things out? I was going to try and get a glass with some of the key flavors that are in the wines. So I don't know if you've ever been through the wine tasting exercises. The one thing I don't want to do is get very poncy or very derogatory. So for example, I saw an advert for Masterclass where there is a winemaker who says, never hold a glass up to the air. Anyone who does that clearly knows nothing. Well, I've been in a lot of tastings and I've been in a lot of very good vineyards, and people even presenting wines in Berry Brothers and Rudd, and a lot of people look there, and the reasons that I said before is that it can indicate a level of how the fruit has been looked after, how it's aged. I mean, obviously there's the old test where you go like that, but you can, I mean, a good eye, you can see a lot. You can see a lot from a wine. So, but again, that person may have other ways of doing it. I don't want to get too kind of, unfortunately, the problem with wine is that a lot of people look at it from a very, you need to be special, or it's just too much. There is something very simple. There are very good wines in this world, and there are very bad wines, and they're very mediocre wines. The difference with wine and pretty much any other product is that you don't always get what you pay for. There are some amazing, good, cheap wines. Every year, fewer, but there are still some amazing ones. You can not necessarily spend a lot of money and get some amazing wines. And you can spend a lot of money and end up with something very, very, very disappointing. Every so often, one of the things I like to do is, as Churchill said, champagne is something that when things are going well, I really enjoy. And when things are going badly, I need. Sometimes I go home and decide that I want to have a really nice bottle of wine. And you sometimes spend a lot of money on what you think is going to be a really nice bottle of wine. And, it ain't. So this is all about Good wines, every price, no pretentiousness, no smelling of anything that's really not to be smelt. So yeah, I mean, I kind of, notes of fruit you can smell. I'll kind of go with leather. Yeah. But, when people start smelling, I don't know, sweaty bicycle saddles and things like that, well then no. But I am not adverse to, I've got a kit that's a bit old now, but has all different sort of scents and odours that you can use in wine tasting. And again, they're too much. I mean, I don't know if there's 50 or 250, there's various versions of them. But in reality, if you are going to go down that route, I would say, you just need to put some of the things of what you're tasting in. So some berries, some vanilla, I don't know, slice of peach, etc. But yeah, let me know. I will be working away through a few of these, and I look forward to carrying this on. Obviously.